Well, somebody was good. Steve, how you doing? Good, good. Yeah. Yeah, let's say the fever. Yeah.
Hi.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'll let her over to the warehouse. We had to make copies.
Hey.
Okay, no. I really lied. Very good, you know, that you said. Okay, we appreciate it.
It's 6:01. We'll go ahead and get started. Before calling the meeting to order, I'll ask for a moment of silence. And now I'll call the meeting to order and ask that we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Kim Harrison Edwards,
Here.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers,
Here.
Councilman Stephen White,
Here.
Councilwoman Debbie Young, Councilman Herb Curtis,
Here.
City Manager Nate Stansberry,
Present.
City Attorney Brian David,
Here.
City Commissioner Mike Sarah,
Excuse me.
Building and Code Enforcement Officer Marty Lewis, here, Chief of Police Mike Posey,
Here.
Fire Chief Jimmy Tuttle,
Here.
Sanitary Director Dee Evans.
Yes. Okay, we're on to the visitors section and you're on there first, aren't you? Did you want to speak this evening?
I'm not, you tell me I am. Okay. But I want to talk about, we always talk about traffic. They will have it bad, and so we live, it's getting worse and worse. To the point that we have to mow grass first thing in the morning because you can't get close to the edge of the thing without somebody trying to run it. And like she said, time they leave River Street, the time they go up in front of our house, which is 3 houses up, they're going 50 miles an hour. And it's too dangerous to even go out there and sit. I don't know what the problem is. I mean, I'm not a traffic person. And you know, it's hard for us to, we've been here, we moved here 42 years ago, 42 years ago. We moved away, we thought this would be the place we were come back, but back then, 42 years ago, this was a decent place, and it's getting so bad. Because people just don't care. They don't care what they, we got cars on by us, it's got diesel split up down in front of the hood that they built themselves. And it's just terrible. And like I say, we got a girl that's next door, that's good friend of, she's a federal employee. but she's deaf, and she walks all the time. Does anybody here want to tell her husband that she got hit by a car because she couldn't, hear? You know, and she did. Being good one, I mean, she'll do anything. She sees you out there mowing grass, she'll come over that. For us, that's like this, and we're both, you know. But that's the only really complaint I got. That's now about anything else. It did look good, anything street said people are starting to throw every bit of their trash. So okay, the big sheet, picked up, I returning me was out of the front of my place. That's how bad it's getting. And it shouldn't be.
No. I know that they've issued some citations over there.
I think
for
we need a
speeders.
sign about the side of this building. Because people don't, well, we come to hear about it. And a woman was getting beat her because I was going the speed limit and she wanted to go faster and she gave me a bid. I used a few choice words, but not right directly to her, but that's the way it is. If you don't go 50 mph at River Street, something's wrong, because they're right on your stand.
Mhm.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
Well, we certainly understand your concern and appreciate your vigilance in coming to the meetings and letting us know how things are going over there. And Chief Posey, did you have anything you wanted to?
I'll try to get more patrols over there, you know, where street doesn't get it.
Well, we see patrol over there, but it just seems like they go with that street above us. Chestnut. Chestnut. They go up there, turn around, go down the bottom, that's it. And we have a quote, law enforcement officer that goes up to there. I don't know his name or what kind of law enforcement officer he is, but he drives just as fast as the rest of them. He's a law enforcement officer. Lives right across my dock. But no, we just want to save where people don't throw all the trash out of the cars in our weed mower on every week, and we're old. And she wants to be able to walk, but she's afraid to. But we just want like it was when we first moved, when I first moved here 42 years ago and married this woman, that's the way I wanted it to be. But it's hard. And I sure don't want to go back and forth.
Have we tried this sign?
I'll just add, just to the manpower equation, I think
Yeah, I understand it.
right now, and just for the public's sake, since everybody's here, and we've got 5 paid police officers
Yeah.
currently. We've got 1 part-time, we get 1 night shift out of a week. We may have another part-timer coming on, which will help us out tremendously, but just in the last weekend, we had an officer that was sick. So it wiped out a lot of our weekend patrols. We just don't have anybody else, and so that's the challenge. And so then on a day-to-day, I'm gonna take up to the chief and everybody else, and they're answering calls, there's some activity.
We found that in crime community. He was being right after his dog got.
And they try to prioritize the things that are super important, and they're life threatening, and responding to insurance calls and things like that, when it was a wreck and things. So they're not sitting around, they're running around all day long, plus the one we're reporting.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge with
It just
it.
seems like at certain times of day, they know that there ain't gonna be anybody there, and they just see how.
Just please call chief again, let him know there's certain times of day, and we'll do our best to get some people up there.
Right around school time, at school and frequently off work. It's just,
I'm saying.
and like I said, it's the women, or most women that do it.
That sounds about right.
I mean, if you have to go, you have to go, but But this, there's no sense.
Well, thank you again. Thank you both for coming.
We only time we wouldn't go, we lost our air conditioner last night, we ain't slept for 2 days, but we're waiting, somebody to come fix it. But you know. We was gonna come here no matter what. If it was gonna be both of us, if she was gonna wait for the man to come fix it, he made it, not, we found out he wasn't gonna make it, so we both got it. So we always usually try to balance. Thank you.
Okay, next, David Blake.
Here, I'll shut the place down. She comes so early here. Good evening. My name is David Blake. I live in Weston with my wife on 7th Street. I'm on the Weston Planning Commission, and at this time, we're working on a comprehensive plan. We as a group is given the task of coming up with the critical problems that the city will face in the future. I come up with 4 right away, but I thought, what do other people think the city problems are in the future? So I asked some of the people and groups that I had coffee with, and I gave the same question to them. Now, most of the people in my group are my age. Some are married, some have lost their spouses, and some are living by themselves. So that's the group that I got to ask these questions. The question was, what are the critical problems the city of Weston will face in the future? And all of a sudden, everybody had a problem. From bad, dilapidated structures to people on drugs, fast cars, a little bit of everything. And then one person brought up the cost of getting rid of trash in Weston. Now, this is the reason I asked to speak to you tonight. This person told us he lives by himself and he is into recycling. He takes one bag of trash to Buckhannon once a month and it costs him $1. At this time, the whole group was saying this was a big problem for the city of Weston. And Weston and other groups said that they would had taken their trash to Buckhannon. This group was made up of people that live in the city and the county, but they all thought this was a city problem, not really a county problem. What most of these groups was wanting was a place they could drop off their trash at a cost per bag. And they said they would like to see the city do this, so if they had a complaint, they'd have someone come to complain to. I was amazed how this group at this time all stayed on trash pickup as a critical issue for the city of Weston. I could not get them off that issue. They just kept on and on and on. The reason, and this is the reason I wanted to pass this information on to the city council. And what I think maybe the city council or the city of Weston may want to look to in the future, starting a trash pickup. Some of the ideas that come out of the group was to start with, they said they'd like to just see the city have a place where they could drop off a bag of trash for the cost of a bag, like they do in Buckhannon. And they said, well, then of course, they wanted to add recycling to that. They wanted to be able to recycle everything. Anything from plastics, the glass, the wood, the metal, the furniture, and even dirt. And another thing is that the city could buy 1 or 2 trucks in case a truck broke down, pick up trash just within the city limits. Or to handle this service, you could handle it through the city organization as it is set up now. Or you could set up a department of trash like the sewage department is set up. An independent organization works within the city. Or you could set up a department where the Lewis County and the city could participate both in picking and having trash service for the county and the city. And any questions you have from me from this group, at this time, I'll try to answer them. If not, that's all, folks. I want to thank every one of you for listening to me. And I want to thank you for the time and the dedication that you for being on the city commission. And I want to thank you for what you've all done in the last 8 years. I really appreciate the service that you have given the city of Weston. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
just add to that in the sense of, I was at the Solid Waste Authority, the Neil Gilmer Solid Waste Authority, I'm the city representative. And that was a common refrain this past week. I posed a similar question, Dave. How is our trash service working as far as our both communities? Both communities are currently served by Mountain State Waste, and the price, the cost for people who said, I live by myself, or I have two people to throw out a bag of trash being, I think our latest bill was $30 a month, seemed a lot. And so the people who live closest to Buchanan were saying, we're gathering up our trash and taking it to the Buchanan transfer station, and dropping that trash off there for $1 or $2 a bag, whatever that rate is. But the folks in Gilmer County were saying that's really cost prohibitive in the sense of us driving to Buchanan every time to do it. So I don't think what he's saying has any lack of merit. I think it's a problem that the city really does have some part to play and could consider its role down the road. So I would pass that thought along as well.
And it's good timing because the comprehensive plan update is still being reviewed and added to. And there will be some public hearings before that is finalized. So we can continue that discussion. Next, Larry Snyder.
Hello, my name is Larry Snyder.
Did you want to come to the mic? Okay, just yell.
And, I'll put it apart. But, the fire fees really concerns me as far as, we have several properties. In Sam Darby representing him to Tim Digger. But, it had like 40,000 square foot there. And fire fee of $350, I guess, to $6,000. Okay, storage box out there. And then there's, I have several buildings. I think we need to look at this 15.15 per square foot. I don't know if that's already set. Who has set the price per square foot? Plus cartilage out there by Walmart. I think it's gonna be like $2,100. So that's my concern.
Have you called the city building and spoken with Nate about this issue or? Oh, okay.
So it is a 0.15, is that set already?
We had our second reading last week, and so yes, we've enacted that ordinance, and I think at this point, there's a 45-day period that the city residents sign a petition, it can be brought to a vote. And after that 40-day period, then it'll go into effect.
Do you feel it's $6,000 a year?
I think it's a lot. I don't disregard the price. I guess the issue that we all struggle with is how do you pay for this fire service? How do you pay for services in general? And in our community, Weston has been restricted from the retail base. That retail base has grown towards I-79 over the years, and that's, you compare us to a Buchanan or an Elkins or a Bridgeport, they've expanded their boundaries and captured that retail around their community. Weston necessarily couldn't. So that's the struggle on how those communities use their sales tax and B&O taxes to be able to offset the cost of those departments, and we just don't have those revenues.
Well, if I go to Lowe's in Clarksville and I order a kitchen, for instance, and if the kitchen's $20,000, they charge me $200. That 1%, does the city get that?
No, that's a city of Clarksburg sales tax.
No, they asked me what city that would do the job, and I tell them the city of Weston.
I don't think so. I think sales tax,
Should not
correct
that
me.
go to city instead of Bridgeport?
No, it doesn't. I'm pretty sure sales tax is at point of sale. So it's your location when you make that sale is where that sales tax is captured. Every time you go to Clarksburg and buy something, yeah, that goes in the city of Clarksburg sales tax or Bridgeport or whatever municipality you're in.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I believe that there was a question too about the percentage rate charged on, or the dollar amount charged on square footage.
15 cents.
Yeah, and how does that compare to like cities that are charging it?
Bridgeport, I think it's 5 cents right now. Elkins, were they 10 cents maybe, Joe, right now? Bridgeport ordinance was passed almost 15 years ago, so it hasn't been adjusted for inflation, I don't think. I think we've seen some saber rattling from their council saying, hey, our fees are gonna go up here in the next year. They're working on those ordinances to update those fees. Ours is higher, but I think I'll continue to go back to that retail-based, tax-based issue that we have as a community. And I think one of the reasons that we've done this is that we are providing a service out to those areas through the fire department. Part of that service is insurance rate. And the fact that Weston's fire department has paid fire staff lowers the insurance rates for properties all throughout that area. So would I like for the rates to be lower? Sure, I would, but I also have constraints when it comes from a budgeting standpoint of how we're going to pay for these services. And that's really what we base our rate upon. What I thought those services. It will, yeah, it'll be strictly fire proceeds.
And can you just reiterate how that will balance out the budget if it does for the fire department's expenses? Like what they currently are and how that will help?
Yeah, part of we're trying to ramp up the fire department currently has 5 paid firefighters and the rest is volunteers that serve outside the city limits. And oftentimes, I think we presented our last meeting, there's 80 scratch calls, so 80 times we didn't respond as a fire department in the county last year. We didn't have anybody show up, be available most likely. So we're trying to double our staff, be able to send 2 people on a call. Because I think that's reasonable, that ask for 2 people to be able to respond to an emergency. It's also, part of the fire codes, things like of that nature. And then that our budget currently is around $450,000. Our municipal service fees cover about 100,000 of that currently with our raise. Plus the county fire people will look at a budget that's roughly double what they have now. And those fees should cover the majority, if not most of that service.
Is buildings inside the city limits subjected to the 15 cents a square foot?
They're not, they're getting a flat rate because those costs are not going to cover our complete cost of the fire department. And will supplement the rest of their needs with property taxes and B&O taxes and sales tax. And we try to give those folks a break. Question? Sure.
So the tax zero on businesses outside the city limits.
The 15 cents a square foot is correct.
And council passed that on second reading, and the first due fire fee, that takes effect January 1.
That's what we would expect. The first due fire fee billing will go out in January.
The increase in municipal fees
It's like, yeah, inside the
by
city. of July.
1/2024. I think there's been I've heard a misunderstanding about that.
Was this ordinance, taking the best practices for some of those?
Bridgeport was, I think, the first municipality within the state of West Virginia to pass it. In what regard? No, they have a large first due like we do. They implemented it up to the Supreme Court of West Virginia. The Supreme Court spoke to it and authorized it. So, we're not the first. We're not even the second. Elkins has implemented it. Chinson's implemented it. I think Buchanan's in the process of implementing it.
Yeah.
Someone noted for it just did last year as well. And it's a pressure we're seeing across the state for funding these organizations. Putnam County, we said an article there, they're trying to figure out how they're going to fund their fire departments. That's one of the most wealthy counties in all of West Virginia. Well, and I'm going to be blunt. I think municipal finances are a struggle across the state. And I don't want to play the victim, but we are largely beholden to what the state legislature has set as a municipality. And so a lot of these rules that we have to play by are not set by us or any within our control. Property taxes on it, we know taxes are capped. Municipal fees really are our only option to kind of to raise any kind of funds. Federal service. Yeah, maybe, but or lack of control. I mean, I think the localists will come out and argue the other way. But
Do you have any more questions, Larry? No? Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to approval of minutes. You have the regular work and special session meeting minutes in your packet. Oh, okay. Would you like to make a motion to approve those pending corrections? I'll move to approve those minutes and then corrections submitted.
And you've already got one set of minutes in front of you, right? The April 1st ones.
Yes. Okay, is there a second? It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, reports of boards, commissions, and outside agencies. The cemetery board will meet on Tuesday, May 14th at 4 p.m. The Historic Landmarks Commission, Thursday, May 9th at 6 p.m. at the fire department. Councilwoman Rogers, did you want to talk about your last meeting? We had the facade doing. Opening, I think. The facade grant closing was last Friday. Facade grants were due. So this landmarks meeting will be to review applications. I thought it was going to be at the city building. Well, it says. Okay.
I think we need to amend that agenda. Becca submitted that, and I think it's supposed to be at the city building, from what I understood.
Okay.
And that should be posted by tomorrow.
This Thursday, we'll be reviewing applications. So do you know how many you've received?
There wasn't as many offers. I don't think we received 10 like that.
Okay. Weston Planning Commission, next meeting Wednesday, May 8th at 4. Board of Parks and Rec, Monday, May 20th at 5. And we have applications for Michael Bradley and Holly Weaver for the Parks and Rec.
Holly Weaver is not a city resident, we determined, so she cannot be considered for the parks.
I'll move to approve Michael Bradley. Is there a second? I'll second. It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. The Lewis County Economic Development Authority, next meeting Wednesday, May 22nd at 5 p.m. Board of Zoning Appeals, next meeting Tuesday, May 14th at 6. Code Appeals Board, next meeting Thursday, May 16th at 6 p.m. And I believe Brian gave us a list of appointments to be considered tonight. Eric Sherrard to one position for a 5-year term. Kenny Taylor for a 4-year term. Andrew Darby, a 3-year term. Brian Reed, a 2-year term, and we still have a vacancy for the 1-year term.
Yes.
Is there a motion to make those appointments?
I said,
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The Tree Commission's next meeting is Thursday, May 23rd at 4. And the Arts Council, next meeting, May 14th at 5:30 p.m. at West Hall. And we have. Oh, okay. If you'd like to come forward, Spring.
push the button. That's it. Push it down.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we, will be having our meetings on the second Tuesday of each month going forward. If you want to drop in, that'd be great.
At Weston.
Yes, at West Hall. Which has been very good, that's what I say. Requests to appoint the following. We do have new board members. We've submitted all the paperwork for that. For each of those, that would be me, Thomas Newbro, Kelly Marsh, Skinner, and Carrie Bailey. I have some updates for everyone, if we can move on to that. All right. First of all, we began working with an accountant to officially review and file any leftover tax forms. Now, most of those tax forms are going to be just routine filing, just to get them out of the way. And that will be from 2017 to 2023, and that will fully reinstate us as a 501c3. And in April and May, we have done a lot of brainstorming about what we're going to do the rest of this year and a lot of planning. We've done a lot of voting. And so far we have come up with really good programs that we're going to put into our packet to give to everyone. So you see what's going to happen. For instance, we have Reggie Hauer is having an open house coming up June 7th and 8th. We have a master's gallery for Michelle Sims that's coming up later in June. That will be at West Hall, open to the public. We also have been planning a theater skit, figure drawing classes, musical events, and more. We've partnered with the local business Appalachian Oddities. They reached out and wanted to do some fun fall activities that would cover September, October, a little bit into November. And we worked all the way up to Christmas. So we have a lot of things to put together so you can see what's going to be happening. It'll be fun. We also have been continuing the yarnist group. We're making blankets for the DHHR, say that 3 times fast, to give out to the children who have been removed from their homes. There's a care kit for that. We are also focusing on cultivating a registry of local artists. That means anybody that becomes a member gets their own registry. So if you're looking for someone to do something, book music, do different things like that, contact us, we'll have that. That makes it easier for everyone to get to. Oh, yeah, if you have any questions or comments, just reach out to me. You can get me at my email, springdhull@gmail.com. That's HEOL. Or you can directly email Arts Council of Weston at Gmail. We're working on getting the .org for that. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a comment.
Okay.
We appreciated your help with Weston's Make It Shine Day. And we're doing St. Paul's Church Walsh. Appreciate that. Yeah, Arts Council helping us out.
Thank you. I did forget one thing. We also helped book some bands for the Farmers Market and the Carp Fest and did the logo for the new Carp Fest. So we're happy to help with that. So, that's all.
Have you thought about spotlighting any of the students' art from the high school and the middle school, because they do tremendous work?
Absolutely.
And I know you have Shelley Sims, who is the art teacher, and her work is tremendous as well.
She's doing the master exhibit.
Yeah, it's,
She's gonna have 60+ pieces in that exhibit, and it'll be amazing. And she's not gonna have any student work there at that time because she puts on several student exhibits every year, but we are gonna be doing that.
okay, that's
Yes. Yes, I appreciate that. You should show up to a meeting and suggest some.
Not I have my artistic ability, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I appreciate those who do.
Bring cupcakes.
I could.
There are cookies there.
Food is an art form.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Spring.
I have to go to join the artists group that's going on right now.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to appoint the Spring Hall, Thomas Newbro, Kelly Marsh Skinner, Gary Bailey to the Arts Council. I move to approve. It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and there are still 3 positions available on the municipal appeals board. Neighborhood Watch next meeting. That next meeting is June 3rd, I think, that date's wrong. That is at the Weston Fire Department at 6 p.m. And it looks like the Solid Waste Authority will meet, has met May 1st.
Next meeting will be, the last week in July to be confirmed.
So next is Sanitary Board report.
Good evening. I'm assuming you'll have to copy my report, and I won't go over that in detail, but if you do have any questions about it, I'd be glad to answer any of that for you. I will mention that, Nate and Joe and I have been working on a budget for the sanitary board. Plan to have that, present to the sanitary board for their approval soon, and then we'll provide some copies of that and have it presented to you all as well thereafter. And also working on the rate study with the accountant, and she had that. Thanks for a presentation, not too far off, hopefully. Working on some larger items with Nate and Joe as well, and Brian, and we should have that to bring before the board and you all as well relatively too. As far as finance go, I will give you the seats for April for $187,986.27. And the billing for the same period was $171,844.12. Stormwater charges were $3,162, and the city's 2% taxes $1,580. Working on shut-offs now, and we should go in for the end of the week. Also getting ready to send out bills, and we should go in fill out. Anybody have any questions? Our meeting's next Monday at 4:30. You're always invited to that.
Will Laura be preparing a flyer to go in with the bills on activities for the summer?
I think someone is supposed to have them over to the sanitary board office tomorrow morning. I haven't heard any different anyway.
Questions for Dee?
Thank you.
Okay, next, Finance Department.
This is our regular department report. First thing I'll draw your attention to is on page 32 of the packets. That's part of the bank statement. The second line from the top is the final quarter for sales tax. So you'll see that was $161,000. That brings our total revenue for sales tax in the year to a little over $609,000. And we budgeted for that $622,000. So we came in just a little over $12,000 short for the year of what we had budgeted and what we had planned. It's something, you know, we've been keeping an eye on, because it looked like halfway through the year, like we weren't gonna bring in quite enough for that. There are other places where I think we've made it up. If you go back to page 24, and look at the income line 330, it says IRP fees, that's the interstate registration payment for fees. We budgeted 80,000. We're already at 115,000, and we got a letter today saying we've got another 17,000 on the way. So I think we'll probably be well over 50,000 over on that. We're already over in permits as well. So I think the income will be made up elsewhere, but we've been following that sales tax closer this year, and I wanted to give you that update that we came in about $12,000 shy of what we budgeted. Also, when it comes to municipal fees, it looks like we're probably going to come in about $15,000 short of the and I'll take full ownership over that one. I've not been able to give municipal fees the same attention that it's received in the past. So I'm hoping that's something that comes in at least close, working hard on the last 2 months. It's a few other things. There is no needed transfer for vacant structures this month. I know that's always disappointing when you see that. I think that was on page 44 of your packet. I'm not too overly concerned about it, though, now that we're sort of in a rhythm with the vacant structures where we're billing every quarter. This is kind of what seems to happen at the end of the quarter. Beginning of the quarter when bills go out. A lot of businesses and corporations paying that first month and individuals paying that second month. And by the time we get into that third month of that quarter, we're gonna have to see who's maintaining structures. And so that's where we're at now. So I would expect that next month we would see more, a huge influx there. Before I move on to the items I have to ask you to take action on, do you have any questions for me about the finance report? Then the next thing is that check detail report, which begins on page 45.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the expense check detail report.
Move to.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next thing is I'm asking you to approve the transfer of $25,000 from the general fund to the rainy day fund. Normally, this is something that I don't ask you to do until June. The reason I'm asking you to do it in May this year is because you'll see the next item has to be with CDs. And if you approve that transfer, then I'd like to take that $25,000 and go it into the CD that we have for the rainy day fund. Because the CDs come due this month, if we didn't approve the transfer until next month, we would rather end up with 2 separate CDs, which would be fine. Or we would not end up with a CD at all. But I want to realize all the interest we can on that. So I'll speak before you move that. I'll speak to the state of the finances. Because normally what we talk about when we get to the rainy day transfer is where we're at in the budget and what carryover is looking like, and do we still want to do this? And the short answer about carryover is that it's not going to be what we want. That's for sure. Especially with what's going on Cliff Street and that sort of stuff. The very aggressive carryover, you remember I was being before, and I said I was going to ask all the department heads to reel in their spending to try to make that aggressive carryover happen. That's pretty much a lost hope. But that having been said, I don't want to put off rainy day fund. And I think Cliff Street is a really good example of why. We are going to have that money, I think, in the general fund to cover our expenses related to that. But you never know when something like that is going to happen. And so to me, I think that's good reason to say we need to prioritize rainy day fund. So I am still recommending the $25,000 transfer from general fund.
Is that going to make? Yes, right. There's another student.
We haven't even developed the cost of this.
Right.
So the general thought is if we're that street will remain closed until either the new budget year or we develop some kind of low cost method to get it back. So there's one household that's been affected by the closure. It's not the front of their house, it's the rear yard access. Not everybody has. So we're trying to work out a scheme to get that access to his backyard. Take some time to fix that with funds and methods of direction.
Well, I do.
What?
Nothing.
I did mention streets first. I was
Thank
thinking
you.
below. I know.
There is a budget revision later in the packet, and I'll speak to that when we get to it. And it's supporting street construction stuff we got to do. It's also supporting beautification. But right now we're able to fund all that stuff, which is money we haven't spent somewhere else.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so would council like to take action on the transfer of 25,000 from general fund to the rainy day fund?
I said,
Okay. Is there a second? A second. Okay, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And then the last thing there is the requested actions for CPs.
So what are we doing? Rolling over or liquidating?
If you flip to page 57, there is a separate recommendation for each CP because there's a few different things going on here. So I'll explain what's going on there. With general fund, okay, well, first I should explain what you see. There's Citizens Bank or RCDs are held. The interest is realized every 3 months, we have a 6-month CD. So there's interest already realized, there's the maturity date, and then there's the approximate interest that we anticipate to realize on the maturity date. So when you're looking at general fund, for example, that 3,900 we've already received, and then that 4,300 is compounding, that's what we expect to receive on 5/29. And so then the recommended action for the general fund, for example, is to liquidate 150,000 and to roll over the remainder, which is approximately 158,342,03 For coal severance fund, I'm recommending rolling over the whole thing. For vacant structures fund, I'm recommending rolling over the whole thing. For the ARPA fund, I'm recommending liquidating the entire thing. And that's just got to do with the way ARPA is going to need to be spent. We probably could initiate another 6-month CD on that. My hesitation with that is that would come due on 12/4. And we're supposed to at least have that money obligated by 12/3. One of the challenges here, you see that there's the approximate interest. I don't even have exact interest numbers because of the way it compounds. So until the date of maturity, I don't know to the penny how much it's gonna. So if we did roll over ARPA and do another CD, we'd be having a special meeting sometime in December right before Christmas to decide how we were going to spend that and meet our obligation. So I'm recommending it. And then rainy day fund, I'm recommending rolling over the entire thing and then adding the 25,000 that you just approved. So you see that those recommendations are written out down below.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendations?
Can I interject for a second? I really think, Joe, I know you and I haven't really had a good conversation about this, but the ARPA fund one is your largest balance. And it's maturing on the 4th of June, which I think our meeting's June 3rd, right? Could we table that decision to a future meeting? Because I think that obligation and spending are not the same thing. And sit there and pull all that money out and not have it in an interest-bearing account may not be, I mean, it's real money you're seeing there, in 6 months' time. $10,000.
Yeah.
Huh?
I know.
I grew up looking under the curtain or the couch cushion for change. So,
I'm willing to give away ARPA fund.
and I think we just probably need to sit down with council. It's been a while since we've talked about what we're planning to spend in the next year and what we're planning to spend in general. And we need to talk about that obligation.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation with the exception of the ARPA funds?
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second? It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Done everything, Joe?
I think that's everything from me for now.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Joe? Okay, we'll move on to street department.
Mike's not here tonight. He's attending a wedding. I asked him if they could reschedule it. He said it was impossible at this point. So he's there. They've been busy with Cliff Street this past month. They've also patched some streets. I think they're on Ward 2 now from a pothole standpoint. We've had the street sweeper out this last month pretty heavily. And so with Cliff Street, I think when he returns on Wednesday, there's either a concrete delivery that day or the next day that has bookmarked to begin applying some concrete to the stacked rock wall. I'm gonna turn it, and try to get us out from under this. And so I think, for right now, we're on course for about $30,000 to $40,000 of expense as compared to 175 to 200,000 for a driven wall. So, we've had all eyes on it. Everybody who's had an opinion is about to share it up there on what we should or should not do. And I think from my standpoint, it looks pretty stable, and it'll be one of those things we'll continue to monitor, much like our mid-avenue fix. We're familiar with, and hopefully get some guardrail up there. Really soon after the roads put back. So I think that's our best update at this point.
Have you heard anything from the news, state clients for that?
It's been radio silence. I talked to, I saw Gumby last week at some point at a meeting, and he says, well, the governor hasn't declared anything. And I think for all intents, I think no is going to be the answer. It has been the answer. And the feedback I've gotten has been there wasn't enough carnage or just damage within our area and within the counties surrounding us to make them notice. So. Sorry.
Police department.
I just have three small things to add that's not in the packet. Our two candidates for patrol, their physical agility tests are next Saturday. This Wednesday, I have a retired state trooper coming to talk to me about working part-time. And our drone, I think Chief Sutter will agree, it's phenomenal. I'll let him speak to when it's his turn. It's already been used once, and I wasn't present for that, so.
Anyone have questions for Chief Posey on his report?
Appreciate you taking care of the cemetery tree issue.
It's still a small issue. There was a medical emergency.
I got complaints of lots of speeding. Neighborhoods. Avoid things.
Next, fire department.
I don't really have a lot. We got my report, it's the slowest month we've had in April in 3 years. That's good. But we made it, we're already late. And like Cody said, we did get our drone, we've already used it once, this is PD, sheriff's department on a subject that took off, so it's worked out pretty good. We're still learning, we haven't crashed.
So were you able to find them with that?
We wasn't able to find that, but we found the other thing. Motorcycle took off.
Oh, okay.
Pretty neat, all around the city, this is the fire department, so.
Questions for Chief Settle? Thank you. Building code zoning.
I don't think I have a whole lot to add, other than the next round of vacant, structure fees are going out. But finish those up in the morning. And so like Joe said, we'll see that with the flush, and see, get in people's hands. Fighting a good fight, trying to get everybody to mow their yard, pick up the trash.
Oh, I have one question, 709 West, I think that they signed that property over to us.
So that's on the agenda tonight too.
Okay, so they signed it, so why, that's why we're taking it down. So this other houses that need to be taken.
Well, it's on one of the main corridors. It's not safe sitting there the way it is with no roof and no second floor. So we'll take it down, and she'll get billed for it, and it'll be a clean place to get stuff on.
When we were working through how we would prioritize, burn structures is real high on our priority. I think it was city owned, and then burn structures in the city owned. And so right now, we don't have any dilapidated structures that we currently own, so we flipped to the burned structures, and that's why it's our huge priority.
And even though it's burned, we boarded it up. They've been tearing the boards off of it and people been getting in there anyway, so it's been a battle to keep people out of it.
Send us up there again.
Yeah, or fall on somebody injured.
I was at a dinner Sunday a week ago and JP McCuskey was there and he was talking to the group of people about Weston and how we've utilized the grant program. And he really spoke highly about city staff and managing that grant and really making a positive improvement in the landscape using this funds. So good job to everybody.
There's extra money that goes around.
I agree. I agree.
Well, I received an email Saturday from DEP with some follow-up stuff from this last request and now and closing out the grant, and that's part of the paperwork I had to sign this morning. And there were some questions in there, and one of the last ones that I put on there was, hey, I know there's some unutilized funds, follow them our way.
Yes, good. Thank you for that.
One thing I'll add to that is that we did have a conversation with one of our senators that represents our area at the state legislature. He requested more information. Marty put that together and we did email that. We haven't gotten a response back. We did, I think, I followed up with a phone call last week. Marty didn't know when you were in here.
Yep.
And left the voicemail, but if you all, run into them or feel free to lobby on our behalf because that information has been sent at least to Ben Queen's office. And if our other senator would like that information, we'll be more than willing to send it in as well. But feel free to lobby on our behalf.
Hey, next, do you have a cat report or what's its going?
Yeah, just what's in there. She's been busy. I think she did lose a little bit of time due to some rain and flooding in a couple of areas. If you see on the report in there, she was still active in several areas. And she got a number of them spayed and neutered for free.
I'll add that how we've been paying for her, well, her salary, of course, but her travel, she takes these cats to the Snips clinic in Morgantown. So she drives up, drops them off, and comes back, 8 hours later and picks them up. And so we've been paying her the IRS mileage rate, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, to do that work. And that's not a small penny in Morgantown and back. And so when we bought this newest truck in the street department, Mike was willing to pass the SUV back to the code enforcement side. And so I think we've cleaned it out at this point. Right now, we're looking for a map, but we're going to start utilizing that vehicle to run the caged cats to Morgantown to cut down on the IRS mileage cost. And you may see her outside the city limits with that vehicle because she does keep some of these cats at her home. And so I've given her permission to run that vehicle to her house to pick up cats and stuff like that. So just be aware of that. If you do see that going out there, she lives on Saul's running or Goody Fork or something like that. If you see the city vehicle going that way, that's what's going on.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you. City attorney report.
Our esteemed zoning officer pointed something out to me that the Board of Zoning Appeals is to meet May the 14th. And that happens to be election day. So that's probably not gonna, the meeting is probably not gonna happen, and we'll keep you all posted, keep the public posted as to when the board can meet again sometime after that date. So let's just say right now, no BZA meeting May 14th. Yeah, there is a case to be had, but it's just not going to be May 14th. As far as land reuse agency, we passed the ordinance, created the agency, and the Secretary of State has some paperwork that needs filled out, and it came through my email today, and I printed it out. They don't ask me the contents of it because I didn't get a chance to look at it, but my name, rank, serial number, kind of stuff. But I think once you get through all the stuff the Secretary of State wants, then I think we can start hopping and bopping and using that agency as a tool to obtain property and transfer properties to whoever the agency wants to transfer it to. And I hope that happens pretty soon. I think it can happen pretty soon. But other than that, that's all I got.
Brian, will we need to file for a tax ID number for that?
Honestly, I don't know. It's probably, if it's on that form, I will know. But I'm sure we didn't look at the form today.
Okay,
I would imagine, yes.
questions for Brian?
Hey, did you happen to get those pictures and suggestions for an ordinance? About the house that has the high back and.
Honestly, gosh, I don't remember even getting it the second time. But that doesn't mean I didn't get it, because I can look at emails. If I, I'll look at it again, and if I didn't, I'll email you back. I'll email you.
Is that an ordinance you found somewhere else?
No, that's one I suggested
Okay,
a couple months ago.
let me throw something out here, I guess, for discussion, whether since Brian's here, I mean. Then let me suggest an item. We've got some, I'm gonna call them nuisance properties that don't necessarily probably fit our, they're not dangerous necessarily, but they're eyesores. And I think the nuisance code in the state of West Virginia has different ways for you to remedy such nuisances, which usually end up being, there's an order with through some court or some body, and then either they do it or you send somebody in to fix it, and so that will be the end result. But I think from the administration standpoint, at this point, we've been really essentially given this one tool, which I'm gonna call the property maintenance code, and that's what we've been running. Some of these properties are not really, they boarded them up or whatever, and they're safe, and they're not necessarily a problem, they're just in high visibility locations, and they're bad. I think, and this is a question for Brian to research a little bit further, but I think you have the ability as a council to have a public hearing, and I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, declare a property a nuisance for a certain reason, and there's all these steps that get you to that process where you're ordering them to fix them up. That may be the way you want to go as a body to, because I think if you use that process for every nuisance that we have in town, right, we'd be here all night having hearings. And that's why you have the National Property Code, but we've got these few that have fallen through the cracks that don't really apply. Those, I think, you as a body should exercise that right to declare those nuisances and then go through that process. And usually I haven't been involved, and I'm speaking without doing much legal research here, but circuit court or the ability to deal with circuit court, things of that nature. But I think that's your best avenue to deal with those without creating more.
Well, the houses aren't very good, people live in.
Yeah, I think that's allowable if you declare it a nuisance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the nuisance law is pretty broad.
Yeah, I mean,
There's some things defined, but
Yes. It's broad. It can be, nuisance can be broad.
so that's that we're stuck with the property maintenance code, but it has there's broadness to it, but a lot of those things are defined. High grass. High grass can be defined, but it's not something that's really broad that you go after. So that could be an avenue for you as well. And I just wanted to kind of get a pulse of the council. If you guys are interested in this type of hearings, I think that's something we can communicate about and talk. If there's certain problems like that, let's see if we can shoot on in that process to get those things cleaned up.
I
Be
think
more acceptable state.
if we're looking to move Weston forward and, when the things, this is one way, we've got to get it cleaned up.
And when I look at it, I mean, it's right there beside the city building, across the Second Street Bridge there next to Mountain Breeze. And we've had a chain link fence around that property, it's had a collapsed concrete deck, and I think that owner may not be present in Lewis County anymore, and that's been there, how many years now? It was my entire tenure. And it's not necessarily a life safety thing at this point, but it's a nuisance, and it dropped, and it's blight's the word I've been looking at.
Yes.
I think you can put things blight and deal with those, and so that's something I want us to research a little bit, and if you guys are willing to do that, then we'll try to put that together.
Also, the nuisance, it's lowering property values of the houses around them, and that's not fair to those houses as well.
that's all.
Okay, you have the city clerk's report in the packet, and we're down to city managers.
I updated my status of work, so that's in there. If you guys have any questions about that, feel free to throw them at me. Cameras, Tuesday and Wednesday, we're trying to put some up, so that's my goal, is to get a few up this week. It's been a crazy, we skipped over the city clerk's report. She's been out, as you all know, and I think, the latest will be Wednesday, we'll get an update on when she may return. And so that's really left us all you know, the packet you see before you today is the one the city manager created, and did my best Judy impersonation. And so we.
I'm wondering what was wrong.
Yeah, exactly what's wrong with it. It wasn't made with love, or that's what it was. No, but, you know, we've really all just been on double duty. I asked George if she wanted to come tonight. She said no emphatically, and so I understood. She's been getting a lot, strong workout, covering for both desks. So, I think we really just need another month of cleaning things up. You know, hopefully there's no more slips or anything like that that pops out, that we can kind of work through some things. We're gonna talk about temp workers here in a little bit. You know, I'd like to get those folks onboarded. Things, so those are the future things. We've had the farmer's market roll out this past month, which I thought that was really exciting last Friday. And if you didn't make it, please plan to attend one Friday, because I think it's newer and better and all that good stuff. I even got a comment today, and was not here to give that report, but we had John Real. I don't know if anybody went to school. John Real remembers John Real, but graduated from Lewis County probably 2004 or 3, around that time period. He runs a dairy farm in Quiet Dale now, and has started pasteurizing milk and selling. And so selling it local, I think he's at Grazers in Lewis County and all that stuff. But he came to our farmer's market. You know, we reached out to him, and he came and selling his milk out of his cooler. And then Bridgeport called today and said, "How did you get dairy? We don't have dairy." And so we didn't tell them our secrets, but that was cool. I think everybody was excited that, you know, we've got something really doing here that maybe Bridgeport can even desire to have one there. So that's just we put the Bridgeport with it. This last month, we did have on track. I think the mayor probably talked about that in her report. So we had our kind of, I won't say it was our kickoff, but it was one of our first major meetings where they visited us. And we've been working through the hubcap process. There's a June regional meeting coming up that we'll probably try to send someone to attend from the city building. Joe and Laura were in Minnesota for AmeriCorps conference as part of our grant requirements for a week this past month. So we covered for that as well. I think that was beneficial for them. What else am I missing, guys? Anything else? We had a meeting and we set the levy on Tuesday, so that was a big part of the month, getting those things ready. And we've continued to field questions from folks on fire fees and things of that nature. So we're moving. Things are happening. And my goal is that move out of my office and into Susie's old office this next month and get that office cleaned up so we can start marking that stuff on the wall to build to prepare for the sanitary board when they move over to the office hopefully at the end of June. So we've got some work ahead of us.
Any questions for Nate?
I do. I see that we did not get awarded, and I know we didn't get awarded, because I saw the list of transportation alternatives. Have we contacted them to see possibly what was wrong with our submission? Are we too broad? Are we not?
I think we had a conversation with Joe with the TAC grant, and he basically said, keep on applying. And they have so much funds and so many applicants. And I think the feedback, like the Lewis County Park got a trail grant. From my understanding, that was like their third or fourth submission. Yeah. Submitted improvement. I mean, they've largely just submitted the same grant each year. I think we're gonna try to submit again based on what we've done in the past, and we'll probably try to tweak that a little bit.
Because it looks to me like everything, when the other people's like broken into maybe sections, not really broad, like a whole town, but just in one area.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we're willing to put in any application you want to put in. So if you've got a certain area you'd like to target, then we'll throw that application in. I don't have any problems with that. Yeah. I think that's where we end up with the broad applications. Yeah. But
I think, downtown, what I see are one of the big gateways.
Yeah.
33.
mhm.
Get some coming in.
Wards 2, 3, and 4.
I think 19,
Yeah, okay.
South North right there, near the new bridge.
Yeah.
Ward 3.
If you guys have, I mean, please narrow it down, but if you have a certain location, wants to
I
shoot it,
just
shoot
want to
full.
get it.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me, once you get it, you have a better chance of continuing to get this. They need to make cookies.
I think we've always asked for a lot of money too, and I think that at one point, when we did this beginning, we had a health reserve, and we could have, if we would have got a $500,000 grant, we could find $100,000 to throw at a match. we're gonna be challenged in the next couple of years to come up with that kind of cash for the projects we've got going on, so. You know, we may want to just reduce our project and say this is more of a phase one and pick a particular section of the project.
Just sort of trails.
Yeah. Well, I think that's been one of our hesitations too, is that we're waiting on this kind of greenway trail and they're struggling, from what I understand, with match funds and things of that nature too, because all these programs require matches. And so if we could find some way to support those projects, I think that's advantageous to us. And for the last I heard, was that the Greenways was targeting a project for an application from Weston to the high school and maybe even the dam. And so I think that would be very beneficial for us as a town. And so it may be just coordinating with them and saying, yeah, we'll write your support letter. We'll give you whatever we can do to help. And just let them be our one application for our area. And hopefully that makes us more competitive.
Don't forget May 26th.
It's coming quick. Yep.
Thanks. That's really nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Clean that up. I mean, we've got some sidewalk work there that needs to be done,
I
no
know,
doubt about it.
it's
But
really nice,
yeah.
and correct me if I'm wrong, that's something like that, I think that we were going to get a warning on kids,
that particular style, yeah.
yes,
We bought a small portion of it because we haven't spent the majority of the funds at this point.
right,
But we bought that fence from a certain supplier, and I think it was like right on the borderline of commercial grade or something like
Right.
that. So we wanted to see how it held up. I think we may explore buying a higher grade of fence. That location, they were able to drill down 12 inches roughly and put that fence post inside the boreholes and lock it in there with hydraulic cement. So it's a really solid fence at this point, but we may want to explore a higher grade fence before we purchase more.
well, I was thinking of particularly, we were talking about Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
replacing that
Yep.
fence, and really, like, because that railing around that, this,
Yep.
areas.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think I got the list somewhere, but
Yeah.
we had I think it was almost 1,000 feet of fence.
Right.
At one point that we were targeting with those funds, so. Yeah, I thought they did a good job. That was their first fence job. They did as much and I've done as much. I never put one up, so they really babied it and in particular about it. I think it turned out really well.
It's
Much credit to them.
it looks nice, I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve all city reports.
So
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, under old business, we have memorandum of understanding with Jane Lou for sharing of code enforcement officer. And did you want to speak about
I
that?
did, yeah.
Okay.
I think we tabled this the last time and the mayor asked me to stick it back on there, so that's a problem. Talk to her about it. Yeah, the more I thought about this, I think I wanted to have this discussion because I think we can just clear this off and work with Jane Lou and work with Marty to help them out. And what I really want to speak to is Marty's status as a salaried employee. So as a salaried employee, he's not eligible for overtime or anything of that nature. And that comes with a certain caveats, I think, under the law. And the main one being that you don't get paid overtime and you're expected to get your work done. And so my feeling with Marty, and this is something that we've offered to all of our employees, where employees have side jobs or side incomes and things of that nature, and we're flexible with them as long as the work is being conducted and being getting done, and we've allowed them to go do those things. I look at Marty's time sheet every time I put payroll in, and you guys do the meetings and things of that nature. He's here religiously after evenings and things of that nature. And so I've given him the directive in this discussion. I said, I think as long as you get your 40 hours in a week and there's not things that we need you to do, work with me on the schedule, and we'll allow him to dart off and go to Jane Lou with his personal vehicle and do any kind of side tasks that it may have. And that's my understanding, nothing's been agreed to at this date anyway. So he's not a licensed Weston code official. He's a licensed West Virginia code official, which allows him to use that license in any municipality. And so I think we've had some consternation about this agreement, and that's fine. We don't need to have this. If you all are fine with that arrangement, I'm fine making letting that situation ride and seeing how it plays out and doing the best we can.
So then Jamie.
They're gonna pay him directly, he'd be an employee of the. Yeah, no, I think it's,
That was a concern.
yeah, I think that's fair. Now, I was being greedy on the city's behalf. I was sitting there saying, you know, if Marty's there 2 hours, that's 2 hours we have to pay Marty. So, and they were covering all his benefits and stuff. So this is a better arrangement for him. I think it's a better arrangement for them and it's a better arrangement for everybody. So,
wasn't thinking that way, Martin.
And a decision really needed to be made at the last meeting or sometime around.
Yeah.
And because of the inspection that needed to take place that they were behind on. And I do want to apologize to council. Last time when we had the discussion, Councilwoman Rogers was able to express her concerns about the proposal, but I really didn't afford other council members an opportunity to state yours, and I do apologize for that. So at this time, I would like for a motion to be made to remove this item from the agenda. Oh, okay, and is there a second? I'll second. Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you.
Can I get one last dig in there? I'm sorry. A lot of municipalities are our size don't have a full-time code enforcement officer. And I will say, I think it shows. And last I checked in Buchanan, I don't think they had a full-time inspector or code enforcement officer. And I was going down and hope Robbie's listening, but I was going down Main Street the other day or from Tennerton coming in from McDonald's and they had multiple properties that had high grass that looked like they were falling into a state of disrepair along one of their major corridors. And I think that the investments that the council has made in having a full-time code enforcement officer are paying off for Weston. You see that approved it, and Marty has a lot to do with that. I'm just real thankful to have him. I want to say that publicly and appreciate his work, appreciate you guys' support of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, awarding a demolition bid for 709 West Second Street.
We included the big comparison sheet in there, along with a copy of the low bidders bid sheet. And I'm asking that you go ahead and award that to Smoky Joe Enterprises. And they can file for their permits with the state then.
Did our other contractor available?
They did, Astra, they did, they just weren't the low bid this time around.
Oh, I see it now. Are you familiar with this other company?
I haven't seen their work, but these guys, they're all in this business and they're all bidding work in multiple cities and that kind of stuff. I haven't heard anything bad about Smoky.
Your recommendation.
Yeah, I would recommend go ahead and award.
Where's the fun stuff?
The funds are coming out of my normal budget for demolitions. There's a line item that I have for that. And then, like I said, an invoice will be sent when it's done. We get all of our final bills and a lien will be placed against that lot.
I'll move to approve.
Well,
Oh,
you need to
wait a
say,
minute, I need to see how much. I move to approve the award to Smoky Joe Enterprises, LLC. And where the amount is from $13,600.
I'm not. Much love.
we have a second from Stephen. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, approval of revised fiscal year 24 general fund budget for state auditor submission.
Right. I believe that's on page 90 of your packet. So there's a couple of different things going on here. The first is under state government grants, you see an increase for $100,243, and then under expenditures, you see an equal increase in building inspection. So that's just the last cleanup of that DEP grant. as we get those reimbursements in, we increase the building and code budget, to make sure that, this budget can keep that going. And then there's one other thing going on here. So you see a decrease to finance of $60,000. And then increases to streets and highways for 32.5, to street construction for 20,000, and to beautification for 7,500. So decrease to finance of 60,000, and it's split between these other three departments. So the first, streets and highways, I'll let Nate speak to that in a moment, but there's two things that need to happen out of, or could happen out of streets and highways this year. One is temp labor in the summer, which he's going to speak to, different things going on around town. And then the other is something that is on the agenda tonight, which is contract for sampling analysis at the street department, soil sample analysis where there used to be gas tanks underground. So in order to cover those two things, temp workers and the soil analysis, street department will need another $32,500. You see an increase to street construction for 20,000. So what's going on there? After fall street construction was completed, there was about $50,000 left for spring street construction. And that was before, Cliff Street. The expenses for Cliff Street are largely coming out of street construction. The expenses for Cliff Street, we're hoping will only be around $30,000. And I said there was $50,000 there. But if we spend 30 of the 50, then that leaves very little for spring street construction. And one priority that Mike told me about this morning is getting in front of the middle school paved. And that could cost close to 20,000. So there is where the state paved up to a certain point and they stopped. And so there's all those potholes right past it. He said that was a big priority for him. And so he would like to see enough money left behind there to get that done.
What about, Water Street?
Yeah,
Are they gonna do another overlay over there?
For the parking lot?
No, behind citizens.
Oh, like I think the word that we were left with last fall, I think, was they were going to reheat it and roll it in the spring when they came back. Questionable. My mind, but I think we probably owe it to them as a contractor to give them a chance to make it right and see how it looks.
Okay.
That's how I was gone, I think, that week when they got paved, and I came back, I was kind of shocked. That was what I was at with.
Well, that's just the main side.
Yeah. And I think they're all done from paving. Kurt, you were talking about Kurt,
Yeah, I thought that they were going to.
Dakota.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the intention.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay. And then the last priority there is beautification. This year we did more things on beautification than we normally do. Like we put in electrical outlets and stuff down on this side of Water Street, which if you made it to the farmer's market this past week, you saw that in use. So that was all good stuff, but that was a little bit more expensive stuff than we normally do out of beautification. And so if we want to do our normal spring and summertime planting, then we need a little bit there. So that explains why those three budget line items need a little bit more money. The 60,000 would come from finance. If you recall, we have two personnel positions budgeted in finance right now that are not hired. We have an administrative assistant and a municipal use clerk. So between those two positions that we've never hired, there's plenty of money out of finance to move there. I keep in mind, next year, we've already lost one of those positions to attrition, next budget year. But in this budget year, they're still there. So there's ample funds there out of finance to move and split up between those other three.
Lots of questions.
I think that's beautification.
I saw it.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the revised general fund budget?
I move to approve.
It's been moved and second to approve the revision to the general fund budget. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, approval of city-funded sidewalk program.
Keep those two sheets there to show our summer program. We'll come back to talk about those here. Well, that was our chance to talk about it. Well, let's talk about it now, if that's okay, Eric, we jump into the sidewalk. I wanted to get your all's thoughts on, we just approved the funds for it, but I'm fine if you've got other thoughts. We just have a lot of stuff that we'd like to get done, I think, from a cleaning things up and building sidewalks and all that good stuff. And what we've found over the last 6 months is that with 6 street department employees, it's nearly impossible to get, I won't say I haven't been doing anything because they've done things, but it's hard to make much positive progress with that many employees. And so what I've done is we advertised for our summer laborers, and we had, I think, 8 or 9 responses to our summer labor advertisement. I'm not promising to hire all 8 or 9 of them, but I would like you to look at the summer tasks that we have, and then I had a breakdown of what these potential people could do. I had one student from Marshall University who reached out to me from a mock interview last fall and asked if he could be a summer intern here this summer. And so I'd like to hire him to work with between the 3 funds, stormwater, sewer, and general fund on some engineering tasks this summer. I think we've probably got 2 or 3 laborers in there that we'd like to try to direct towards the sidewalk crew to let those folks work on the patch repairs and maybe even a larger sidewalk project at Lively Park this summer. We've got 2 to 3 high school kids that have applied, and I'd like to make them kind of a beautification of parks crew and let them work on things of that nature, painting, watering flowers, things of that nature. And I say high school kids, I know I'm probably defaming some of them, because I think some of them graduate high school or in college, so I apologize. And then I'm looking to have 2 street temps to help fill in with the street department like we have per usual. And potentially maybe another person to help with storm drain cleaning, sewer cleaning with our combo back truck, or put one of our folks in there.
Who's painting curbs?
Well, I think maybe that beautification crew or someone is painting. So if you all are fine, we haven't had interviews, we don't, we've always seen at this point as applications, but that's one reason we revised the budget, is to be able to hire these folks and be able to bring them in if they're so available. Want to get some feedback from you all, if you thought this was a good idea, bad idea, or if you were against it, that would be fine. It's the first time it's been presented, but I think personally, I see us having a lot of positive momentum now, and I think if we can continue to integrate people and bring people in, whether it's just, through summer and let them work on Weston, I think that helps people build pride in what they've done and see their compatriots out there working on things, things that nature. So we want to see these things continue to grow. So, if you all are fine with that, I will try to proceed. And like I said, I've given you some salary numbers in there, like the engineering intern. Hopefully he's not watching, but that was the high end. That's not what I'm going to offer. I was just doing that from the budgetary standpoint. So. All right, sorry, and then to sidewalks. When we passed we did a revision to our ordinance, I think back in January, maybe even December, to our sidewalk portion of our code to allow, our code really spoke to the property owner who had frontage on a city street was responsible for that sidewalk within the city right of way, city controlled right of way for repairing it. And that left us with a couple of options, really, basically that they fixed it, or we ordered them to fix it, and we fixed it and sent them a bill. So we passed that ordinance and said, hey, we're going to offer the ability for us to partner with you in some kind of grant program to do that, and share those costs. And so I've prepared a little primer here with a background showing you what we could offer, and then a draft application. So we make this available to city building for people to put a request in. I think this is something that we largely can run within our city administration. It wouldn't be something that bogs down the council, but I do think on our option 1, where we're offering property owners an eligible match to cost material up to $4,000 per year, that we will prioritize which ones we think should be done or offered to, and then bring those to council for your guys' purposes. I felt like that was a sizable amount of money. Probably won't be very many of them, but
They have some type of ordinance in place in order to approve this.
I think you did pass that ordinance in December. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, but we don't need to include some of this language in,
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the ordinance authorizes the city manager to create a program. Sidewalks. I think that's what I'm trying to present to you tonight. You don't have to approve this tonight. If you guys want to look at it some more, I'm fine with that. I just say that I've had one person come in the last week saying, hey, I heard there potentially could be some sidewalk funds out there. And I think our street commissioner was telling you that, so. But, you know, I think that there are people out there, and this is the season, right? People are gonna do some work and fix some sidewalks, and so. We probably need, if we're gonna make this available for this year, we should try to get on this. A lot of that blame is me for not getting to now. But, you know, I said $4,000, you know, my thought is right now, I think full severance, we've got about $50,000 that we've saved up over the last 3 or 4 years. We just got an allotment, and we get that quarterly, we got 4,000 a quarter, so we've roughly gotten 4,000 every quarter for the last 3 or 4 years that we haven't touched. And those are the funds that we were going to use to help this sidewalk program. Give it an annual trial, and we don't speak to anything past this year in this. And something you guys could review, you know, annually and make funds available, that kind of thing.
I think this option too, Nate, would be a little less expensive for the property owner. I think that'd be a great idea. This
Yeah, I think the only question with option 2 is when do we get to it?
Exactly.
Street department. And so
Yeah.
we wanted to be able to, I agree. I mean, I think if I had druthers and we were able to hire 4 new street department guys down the line, we have an increase in city funds. And you should have a crew that just works on those kinds of projects, and that would be a lot of value for property owners.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this will at least let people kind of sign up for that, and as time allows, and I think the street commissioner or one of these agents can go out there and look at property frontage and say, you know, really, you know, the 2 panels need replaced, and maybe we could give that a little bit higher priority. But it'd be something that we kind of control the priority schedule. Nobody's gonna change hands until we're ready to do the project and make sure that they're ready to go.
So you're gonna offer them these 2 options?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so if we can be realistic with the property and say, listen, it's gonna be 6 months before we can get to.
No, I
this,
think they're gonna fill out this application, we're gonna keep it on file, and we'll have a list of people who've signed up, and we'll try to get to them. You know, in my past experience, you try to get to the people longest on the list, and you try to get to the people easiest on the list, and you try to get to the people, you know, who are most critical to your sidewalk network. Those are kind of the 3 factors that
Sure.
went into a lot of this stuff.
Or they could just hire someone.
They can, and that's
Yeah,
kind of the option
that-
1, and we can try to reimburse.
That's why I was kind of afraid of option 1, because years past, it's been the property owner's responsibility, and that's been a failed system, and that's what you're leaning towards with expecting the property owner to come up with $4,000 just.
Well, let me correct you there just a little bit. We're trying to share the cost with them. And so they would have to pay for the labor in option 1, we pay for the material. And so it's probably gonna be more than, if the concrete costs $4,000, probably gonna be more for the property owner than $4,000. But yeah, we're just trying to incentivize people to, I had Larry actually come in last year and said, hey, is there anything you guys can do? The Episcopal Church wants to replace their sidewalk. Anything you guys can do to help out? At that point, it was like, well, I guess I can go to council and talk to them about it, see. It didn't seem like a real fair thing to do, or maybe we open the spigots. So in this system, they could come in and say, hey, we want to replace our sidewalk in front of the Episcopal Church. And we're gonna make them keep their yardage tickets, and then we're gonna estimate how much gravel they're going to use, and then we'll be willing to cut that material cost if approved by council, you know, to share in that project with them. We try to encourage those kind
Can
of
you
things.
help me visualize how much sidewalk $4,000 gets you?
Well, I would be a smart, like I said, it depends on what the price of concrete is and your labor and all that stuff. And this was another way, like, so I anticipate that most people are gonna hire a contractor to do this work. There are some enterprising individuals out there who would probably try to build their own sidewalk or be willing to. And so if they do their own labor, I think that's, you know, that's their sweat equity in it. We will approve, make sure they build it to the standard of the city of Weston, make sure we don't get a bad sidewalk and still participate in material costs in this program. But I think generally you're looking at anywhere from $50 to $75 a linear foot for sidewalk, depending on the width. Some Google numbers were $6 to $12 per square foot. And generally a sidewalk is 5 feet wide. So at $12, that's a $60 per linear foot sidewalk that you'd install. And I think we can also partner with folks and we would try to, if we say, hey, I'm gonna tear out my sidewalk. You know, would the city participate, would the city haul off the old concrete? I think the answer to that is yes. Yeah, we will try to help folks out in that regard to make these projects go smoother and happen.
So we've got work very similar to the design.
I think so, yeah, I'd be very appreciative of that.
Okay.
And maybe something, you know, you sit there and say, our meeting's 3 hours long and we got 10 of these applications, we don't want to do it anymore. And we have limited funds, you know, if we have 10 applications this year, it's $40,000 and that's all we got. So those things we may have, you know, I was thinking 4. If we did 4 projects this year, that would be pretty good, up to $4,000. So it's a start. I did put a paragraph in there at the very beginning of that background that talked about, I have, and I was trying to print it off tonight for you, couldn't get it there. We do have around 20 linear miles of sidewalk in Weston. And actually, I think it's more along the lines of 18, because I did put the section of sidewalk from Kitsonville down to the high school, but it's not in the city limits, it's not something we're responsible for. So you can look at it, I think our responsibility is around $200,000. If we were to replace every sidewalk in Weston every 50 years, we're looking at around $200,000 a year we need to be spending on sidewalks. So we're not even touching the problem at this point.
Mayor. They get that first 200.
Right
But
after the oil spot.
so, and it's not to scare anybody or demean anybody, I just want you to realize the magnitude of the problem. So this isn't gonna fix all the sidewalks in Weston. Our best case scenario, long-term, I think, from my experience and from doing here is you need to have approved people, and that's not cheap either. But if you're gonna make a sizable dent, you've gotta have approved people, or you've got a bond for millions of dollars to be able to fix sidewalks. So there's your option.
Are your sidewalk forms available for use?
I would struggle to do that, you know, without our supervision being there, but we can talk, I guess. You know, it's a piece of equipment, some municipalities rent out equipment, and maybe something we're willing to do, you know, I think. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. They weren't terrible, I think we have enough forms, I think, to do 200 feet, linear feet, without too much irregularities, and that was about, I think, $2,000 for.
Is council ready to take action on the sidewalk program?
I'll move to the approval of city funded sidewalk program.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, a contract with VHM accountants for GASB 45 reporting.
See, there's contracting with that, yeah, okay. 98. And then right after that, there's an email from Sullivan Soniker. So the GASB 45 requirements are new requirements that were put into action a couple of years ago. I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize how expansive they were. And I was talking with the auditors, we're still on track. VHM are our auditors. And we're still on track to have those 2 years completed by June 30th, by the end of this fiscal year. But there's some additional reporting they need that is way beyond my wheelhouse. And in the past, Sullivan Soniker had completed that for us. I reached out to Sullivan, so VHM first said, if you need us to do it for you, we can do it for you for $8,000 a year. And but they said, but you do probably still have a contract, Sullivan Soniker. So I reached out to Sullivan Soniker, and that email's in the packet. Where Ryan is basically saying, we would charge you $12,000 a year, and we couldn't get it done on the same timeline they could, so we should go with that. So this is just to keep everything on track. There's plenty of money for it in the finance department budget. You'll remember from when we were using Sullivan Soniker more, I think we had $40,000 budgeted for outside assistance. We haven't used any of that. So this we didn't use it yet. So, but this I need. It takes a CPA to get this work done, and I will not.
We just need a new different.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, the vacation payouts for critical shortage employees.
Let's see how many firefighters you got left around here. We've done our best with the vacation policy changes. And we made that change mid-year with, from, annual, the beginning of the year to anniversary day. So that's put a lot of squeeze on folks to use vacation across our organization, within a limited amount of months. And so a lot of these employees, with our police department being 5, I would term that critical shortage of safety employees. We provided in our handbook the ability for them to request their vacation time to be paid out instead of lost due to their service. And then Officer Minnie himself, he was out on military leave, and so that reduced the amount of his ability, I guess, to use vacation time. Who would agree? So his anniversary date hit April 1st. I've got a letter from him requesting his vacation time. He had a balance of 140 hours as an anniversary date. He can roll over 40 hours, which we're going to do for him, and I'm requesting to be paid that remaining 100 hours of vacation time. And you may ask, where's that extra money coming from? And I think within our police budget, we can absorb that easily because he was not paid out for certain terms of his work earlier in the year during his military leave. And so he really should have just claimed it dead. He did. So this is what we've been left with, but it's been a good exercise in him. So I'm requesting that.
Is there a motion to approve the vacation payout? There's a second? A second. It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, request to pay off emergency vehicle leases.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask you to table that one indefinitely. If you remember, when we talked about the budget, we had talked about possibly paying off. Was it the ladder truck this year we were gonna talk about now? We're gonna pay off the ladder truck this year and try to save some interest money. Jimmy went and got a payoff quote to figure out what exactly we could save. It was about $400. Is that right? Yeah, it wasn't very much money that we would save. And so we said, well, what else do we have that maybe we can pay off? So we looked at police cruiser lease that we're still paying on, and we'd save a little bit more if we paid that off, but it would take a little bit more. I think it would take about $7,000 more than what we were planning on for the ladder truck, and we would only end up saving $800. So there wasn't really anything that we were going to save a ton of money off that we could afford to pay off right now. The thing that we're really paying a lot of interest on is the pump truck, which still has a principal balance of $500,000. Yeah, we cannot afford to pay off at this time. So there wasn't anything really, as we were looking at that we thought.
What was the interest rate on that 500? How much are we paying in interest each year?
That is the only one we're paying above 4% interest.
But what's the value? You remember?
Oh, $21,000 a year in interest?
Just on interest alone in that truck.
Yeah.
First 5. First.
So
All features.
I think, we've talked about with our first new fire, are we gonna hire folks first? Are we going to pay off equipment? And as of today, I think you work on your truck payments, because it's not just us, the VFD is also paying same truck, right? We bought 2 of them. So that they, only $50,000 interest each year. If that's a person, that's pretty much a body in the fire department. So those are things we need to work on. If we have cash on hand, we would be looking at everything. Thanks.
Who made that deal?
There a motion to table the payoff on emergency vehicle leases.
I said,
It's been moved and second to table. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, contract for sampling and analysis of the street department property.
We received a notice probably about 6 months ago that in 2012, there had been tanks removed from the street department, and petrochemicals had leaked. They found it, and that further analysis was required. I lost track of it. I got a warning about a month ago, or I didn't realize it was a warning at the time, but it was, hey, where are you at with that? And I didn't respond. I got lost in my email path, and so 2 weeks ago, I got a notice of violation from DEP saying, hey, what are you gonna do here? You know, after they took 12+ years to get back to us, but who's
Yeah.
counting? Anyways, we've had a good conversation about it, and they've been very, very lenient on us. Our notice of violation was extended, the reporting deadline to allow us, I said, this is stuff that's gonna require you all to weigh in on this contract. I solicited, they gave me a list of 6, I solicited 3 or 4 firms to give us a quotation on it. Ron was the one who done the work, who had did the work in 2012, unbeknownst to me. They provided a quote, but our cheapest was Miller Environmental. They quoted us $7,442 and an additional $2,500 for a sampling and analysis plan that DEP required retroactively after we started the process. With that, I've also reached out to Ray and his Brownfields grant team, and they are looking into possibly being able, if the program allows, to fund this work as well and use their auspices. So tonight, what I'm asking you for is to approve Miller Environmental at $9,942 for their environmental analysis, contingent on the answer from the Brownsville grant. And if they are positive, then we'll go with the Brownsville grant, get that work at no cost to the city. That's my recommendation.
Any questions or are we ready? Someone want to make that motion?
So move to, what we just said,
Miller Environmental for $9,942. Contingent Brownfield grant.
Okay. And is there a second? It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, event application for prayer walk at home property.
I think they've had it in the past where they've had some, they've prayed together and then they've gone over town praying over different aspects of the town. They just want to stage their gathering point at Holt Park, and I don't see any reason they couldn't. Yeah. I think last year they did it in the St. Matthew's parking lot. If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
Tom Foster, he's the Tri-Town Fire Department, is this?
And Tom Foster Micro Greens every Friday at Farmers Market.
Okay. I move to approve. For a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next, we took the city council. You have my monthly mayor's report, and I just attended the municipal league board meeting. And I wanted to highlight a few things. They did accept Travis Glosser's resignation. He is now the new city manager for Fairmont. They also appointed Susan Economou as the executive director of the municipal league. They announced the annual conference in Huntington on August 6th through the 9th. And they passed a resolution to change their 2 in-person board meetings each year to 1 in-person and 1 virtual to save expenses. And then the final thing that I took away from the board meeting, Amanda Taylor with the law firm of Taylor, Hinkle, and Taylor and Beckley has submitted an amicus brief for the City of Huntington and Cabell County Commission. And the County Commissioners Association, the National Association of Counties, the National League of Cities, the International Municipal Lawyers, the Sheriff's Association, and the West Virginia Municipal League have joined in supporting this amicus brief. And it is to discuss the wording of public nuisance when it comes to drug opioids. So I do have a copy of it. I was going to give to Brian this evening.
You have a copy of the brief?
And so I think the important thing right now is just to keep an eye on that to see where it, how it comes out, because this could mean additional settlement money down the road from those that provide the pharmaceutical companies.
I'll have it.
Have you seen anything about that, Brian? It was pretty interesting. I'm hopeful, but I'm sure that at the West Virginia First meetings, they'll be discussing that too. And that's all I have. Word one.
Well, I attended the on-track. That was pretty exciting. I think that, the folks were very helpful, that they, asked us the right questions, got us thinking and going down the right path. I think that, they were also very positive. And pointing out, we know our strengths and weaknesses, and, I think they actually found some strengths that perhaps, well, I had overlooked. I don't speak for everyone else, but it was a positive experience, and I look forward to working with them in the future. The Arts Council progress, I think, is very promising, and in that they're kind of fitting right into events and what we're doing, and the farmers market. I just really appreciated everyone's efforts on that farmers market. It was so nice, and it was just a way to bring the community together over food and music and families. It was a very, very nice evening, and I'm looking forward to spending my Friday nights also there. So just once again, want to thank everyone who wakes up every day and does something for our community, and not be employees of the city of Weston. Thank you.
Word two.
I just want to thank the police department, the fire department. You guys are always busy on my end of town, so I definitely appreciate that. And the street department and the sanitary board for working that last minute conundrum we had reported yesterday. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you guys for all the work you guys do as city employees, and appreciate it.
Okay, word three.
Ward 3 would like to apologize for being late, but Ward 3 came down with shingles earlier. And so, had a little bandage issue here, get stuff to stick, so I apologize. I was gonna smell like a baby spot on, they go inside. I apologize for that, but nothing's itching, so that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I participated in the Make It Shine, went around and picking up a lot of trash. I know where a lot of the trash comes from, I won't say, but we need to teach those people to use garbage cans or eat at the area designated, giving out the food. So I appreciate everybody who joined forces that day. It wasn't exactly the warmest day to be out there, but we did pick up, I think, a lot of garbage. The town looked good for a week or so. But we need to incentivize people and, just have pride, get out there and pick up. If you see something, pick it up. If this is your community, and you need to make it shine as well. Also, I helped with the comprehensive plan for the county. My students answered a lot of questions and did a very good job. The lady was well pleased with that. I also like to comment on the Arts Council, bringing more cultural aspect and diversity into the city. I think that's a big thing. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to the farmers market due to my condition, but I look forward to joining the next event.
At the Ireland open house for the planning commission, Christy Demuth was going on and on about your students, so good job. Word four.
My first question I wanted to ask Councilwoman Rogers, did you make it to the farmer's market?
I did.
Oh, good.
just like to thank the street department, city manager. I went over and looked at the fence they put up. They did a wonderful job with that. It looks way better than the barriers that's been there long term. Of course, I know we've been busy, but just to make the point, it looks a lot better. So thank them for that. Thank Marty and the cat lady. I don't mean any disrespect. I can't remember her name, but yeah, for the continued work she's doing with all the cats, and then thank Chief Posey for speaking with me yesterday a little bit, complaints I've received, and Councilwoman Winstead, and talk to her about that later. But yeah, appreciate everybody, all the city employees, and everything everybody's doing. So I'm moved to adjourn.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
About work. That's not a little young short.
Yeah.
Saturday, not important, so.